May all your teeth fall out except one, so you can still have a toothache. May you grow like an onion with your head in the ground. If you can't say anything nice, say it in Yiddish. My dad's parents, Jesse and Harold, were born respectively in Lynn, Massachusetts, and Bloomfield, Connecticut. My mom's father, Hyman, was born in Brooklyn. Her mom, Grandma Ruth, arrived from Vilna at the age of 2. Consequently, I grew up deprived of Yiddish. I have discovered, however, that simply by virtue of growing up in that certain time and place, I absorbed a basic vocabulary of wonderful, enriching, delicious Yiddish phrases. A few months ago, I was standing at the Nosh. Nosh, by the way, is a perfectly legitimate Yiddish word itself. You can follow along all the vocabulary I reference on your handout. And someone mentioned that they had just returned from a wedding or a bar mitzvah or some happy occasion. I responded in Yiddish, auf simchas, which I understand to mean, isn't it great to travel to a simcha, a happy occasion, and one would hope to travel nur auf simchas, only for happy occasions. The person looked at me with a blank stare, and I realized that we can't take for granted this notion of a basic working knowledge of the mama lashon, the mother tongue. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to kvetch about the potential demise of Yiddish and to offer a little lesson on important Yiddish phrases to know and use and what they say about Jewish values, though I am certainly no maven. I know that this is chutzpah on my part, assuming you may not know all of these expressions and that you might even be interested, but we are all landsmen here. So I appeal to your Yiddische Kopf. You may think that this is Narishkeit, nonsense, but I'm here to tell you that the richness of Yiddish will add to the richness of your life. We'll begin with the mishpacha, the family. Our families form, ideally, when we meet our beshert, the one intended for us. Beshert, by the way, can also be used generically for anything that just feels like it was meant to be. Very often when we have batei din for conversion, the person who is choosing Judaism talks about how they were attracted to Judaism based on their experience of the warmth and closeness of the Jewish family. Now, Jewish mothers sometimes get a bad rap. We have a reputation for being perhaps slightly overwhelming and maybe excessively involved with the kinderlach, the children. But the reality is that we should appreciate the fact that our families are involved in our lives and care about what happens to us. This is not something to be taken for granted. Despite the mishigas, the craziness, the mishpacha is a wonderful aspect of Jewish life. There is a lot of pressure on Jewish kinder to excel. Jewish children have been referred to as nachas machines for their parents, not to mention their bubbies and zadis. Every parent wants to kfel, that is, to have that special sense of pride in seeing our children excel. That's why we resonate with this story. A young mother points with pride to her 2 children, one walking next to the stroller and one in the carriage. The doctor, she says, is 2, the lawyer is 4. No wonder Woody Allen joked that every Jew is either in therapy, just finished therapy, or is a therapist. Or this one, Mrs. Brownstein is talking to Mrs. Goldberg. "So, tell me about your daughter," asked Mrs. Brownstein. "Well," Mrs. Goldberg replied, "when she was 18, she married a pediatrician and they had a little boy, but after a couple years, they got divorced. Then she married a prosperous dentist and they had twins, but once again, things didn't work out and they got divorced. After that, she met a big lawyer, and they got married and had a little girl, but that one lasted just 3 years, too. Now she's engaged a 4th time to the president of a bank. "Oy," says Mrs. Brownstein, "so much nachas from one child." But nachas just means that we value education. And here in the Golden Medina, the United States, land of opportunity, Jews have, for the most part, been very successful precisely because we value learning for its own sake, and asking questions is an important cultural phenomenon. In addition to education, it's also good to have some seichel as well, some basic common sense. Otherwise, the term chacham could be applied to you in a slightly sarcastic manner, and you wouldn't want to be that kind of chacham. There's the story of one young chacham who tells his bubby that he is going to become a doctor of philosophy. "No," says bubby, "that's wonderful, but what kind of disease is philosophy?" Family is so fundamental in Jewish life that Yiddish has words for relationships that we can't really describe in English. Meet the machatunim. In English, it takes a long, convoluted phrase to introduce the parents of your child's spouse, your child's in-laws. In Yiddish, these essential folks are known as your mechutin and your machatenister, together, your machatunim. Too easy. Since you will be vying for them for the rest of your life as to where the kids, and more importantly, the grandkids, will be spending the holidays, it's good to have a shorthand way to refer to them. By the way, we know that there are 2 days of Yontif due to the exigencies of the Hebrew calendar, but doesn't it work out great as well to solve these potential conflicts among the mishpacha? Apropos of family, my daughters will not forgive me if I don't include one of their favorite Yiddish words, verstunkene, which literally means stinky, but can be used more expansively to deride a plethora of moments. I'd love to see you, Mom, but I have to finish my verstunkene homework. I mentioned the grandchildren, poo, 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 Kenai and Hura. The evil eye shouldn't fall on them. As a people, the Jews are acquainted with tsuris, with troubles and woes of every variety. And of course, we know that you need to have a lot of mazel in life. Mazel, of course, is part of that well-known phrase, mazel tov, which we use as if it meant good luck or congratulations. Literally, mazal is a constellation, so when we wish someone mazal tov, we are expressing the hope that all the stars will line up just right for them, that they will be blessed with mazel and not tsuris. The evil eye lurks everywhere, so we must be ever vigilant. Kenai and Hura. Without a little mazel, gur nicht helfen. Nothing helps. A Jewish patriarch was on the witness stand. "How old are you?" asked the district attorney. "I am, Kenai and Hura, 81. "What was that?" "I said, I am, Kenai and Hura, 81. "Just answer the question," said the DA sharply. "Nothing else. Now, how old are you?" "Kenai and Hura, 81, said the old man. Now the judge said, "The witness will answer the question and only the question without additional comment or be held in contempt of court." Up rose the counsel for the defense. "Your Honor, may I ask the question?" He turned to the old man and said, "Kenai and Hura, how old are you?" Said the man, 81. You gotta have mazel because, as is well known, man tracht und Gott lacht. Man plans and God laughs. Things can have a way of not working out, especially if you are a shlemiel or a shlemazel. For the shlemiel and the shlemazel, we have rachmanis, compassion. So who are these poor unfortunates? The shlemiel is the person who never gets it quite right. If something can go wrong for the shlemiel, it will go wrong. The shlamazel, as the name implies, has no mazel, no luck. The classic distinction, the shlemiel is the one who spills the soup, the shlamazel is the one he spills it on. The shlemiel, the soup spiller, might, in addition to being a shlemiel, also be a klutz. So you got to have rachmanis. The Jewish people are described in the Talmud as compassionate ones, the children of compassionate ones. While we are not above poking fun at our landsmen, fundamentally, we are to have compassion. When God's nature is revealed to Moses as Moses hides in the shelter of a rock, the first quality ascribed to the Holy One is El Rachum, a compassionate God. Rachamim is derived etymologically from the word rechem, meaning womb. It is an image of total nurturance and caring. Having rachmanis for others is a beautiful value and one we should cultivate in our own lives. So here we are in shul at Temple Chai. Congregation, synagogue, temple, all nice words to describe our religious home, but I prefer most of all shul. Leon Wieseltier writes that shul is a warm word, a Jewish word. I have always found it to be the friendliest of Jewish words, even when I have spurned its friendship. I feel that. Shul is also the place where the machers, the big shots, get the appropriate kavod, honor that they deserve. Temple Chai, our shul, Chai meaning life, a place whose friendship is available to us whenever we choose. There is no more fundamental value than Chaim, life. As we read the story of creation in the Torah, each day we read, and God saw that it was good. Life, Chaim, is what it's all about, and thus we toast l'chaim, to life. Chaim is the root of machaya, a hard-to-translate word that can be ascribed to anything that we find life-affirming and that brings us joy. A glass of water on a hot day, a machaya. A long talk with a good friend, a machaya. Machaya is an important word. It reminds us to be grateful for all the little things that make our lives worthwhile, to appreciate every moment as a gift. We may love to kvetch, but ultimately we know that we should focus on that which is a machaya. Being in shul for the high holidays is such a machaya. It reminds us of the ultimate transcendent Jewish value, which is to be a mensch. To be a mensch is the highest compliment we bestow upon each other. What more could any of us want when we leave this earth than to be remembered as mention, as kind, honest, compassionate, caring, decent human beings? The power of the high holidays lies in the opportunity to remind ourselves of our highest aspirations and to forgive ourselves and each other when we don't quite make it. One of my favorite Yiddish words is forgin, another hard-to-translate word that implies taking happiness in another's happiness and allowing ourselves a little indulgence too. On the high holidays, we should forgin ourselves and our friends. It is a shanda that I don't have more time for this conversation. I know I omitted many, many wonderful Yiddish words and phrases, but I have rachmanas, and I don't want to keep you here all day. May all your prayers on these high holidays be answered, and you should sei gesund, be well. In the words of the famous Yiddish expression, we understand that God will provide. We only wish he would provide until he provides. May all of your needs go directly von dein Moel in Gott's euren rein, from your mouth to God's ears.